Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today we're going to talk about some updated effects. And when they finish the collection range, if they repackage and sell them in box sets per Doctor, like, you know, Doctor Who, the collection, the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker, and it's like, you know, a box set of all 7 of his seasons, or, you know, Doctor Who, the collection, Sylvester McCoy, and it's a box set of all 3 of his seasons, both seasons for Colin Baker, 5 seasons for John Pertwee, so on, so on, and so on. You know, what if, you know, they didn't just completely repackage them, but they gave us a few more goodies, you know, a few more extras, maybe an extra documentary or 2, but maybe each box set would get at least a couple stories with some updated effects, because, you know, if you're doing a Tom Baker box set, 7 seasons, ooh, I'd hate to see what that would cost. I really would hate to see what that would cost. But, you know, a good way to get maybe us to double dip, because we're foolish and we'll buy the same story 50 times because we're Doctor Who fans. That's what we do. A good way to entice us would be like, oh, and in this Tom Baker collection set, we've done updated effects for 2 stories. You guys know Prowley's going to be going, ooh, because I love me some updated effects. You know, my thing is, which stories would you pick to get the updated effects? Now, I'm only going to be talking about seasons that have already been released, because we don't know in the seasons about to be released or yet to be released which ones are going to get them just in those box sets. So I'm going to be looking at the box sets that have already been released, and specifically stories that haven't gotten updated effects in those yet, and maybe that I think could use them. I'm going to be looking at all of the era of classic Doctor Who from the 70s and 80s basically in color, because I don't think the 60 sets really need updated effects. I mean, it works nice for Dalek Invasion of Earth, but I feel like that black and white medium lends itself to that really well. They don't really need updated effects. So we're gonna be looking at the 3rd Doctor, 4th Doctor, 5th Doctor, 6th Doctor, and 7th Doctor. And we're gonna start with Tom. And then the 3 stories that jump out to me from box sets that have already been released, so seasons 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, that I'd like to see get updated effects are Creature from the Pit, especially if you put some money into it and just redid the look of Arato, or whatever his name is, and actually just made the creature look a bit better like they wanted in the original production. If you do some CGI magic there and just make him look more intimidating. And then the ending of the story, basically most of episode 4, really needs some updating. 'Cause I like Creature from the Pit. I think it's an underrated episode, or underrated story, but I do think it falls apart a bit in episode 4. You know, once they kill the lady Andrasta, or whatever her name is, Andrasta, and they're going into space to stop the missile, it just kind of falls apart to me, and the effects look a little naff there. So if you updated those effects, I think it would make the story pop more. So redo the creature, redo the special effects for episode 4, and I really think Creature from the Pit goes up in people's estimations. Next on the list is the Ark In Space, which has had updated effects once before with the original DVD release, but that was back in like 2002, 2004. And one, it was just the exterior shots of the shuttle and the spaceship that got updated effects. None of the interior shots got updated effects, like the laser beams, and we know Prowley likes his updated laser blast. None of them got updated effects. And also, because it was so long ago and on such a budget, the updated effects do look a little naffed, not nearly as refined as, say, the Revenge of the Cybermen updated effects, which look much better. So I think the Ark In Space is perfect for another pass with updated effects. You could make the external shots look so much better, kind of matching how they look in Revenge of the Cybermen, since they both take place on Nerva Beacon. And then you could update some of the interior shots as well, like the laser blast. You could even update maybe the look of the Weirin, you know, give them some CGI look, make the CGI stuff over his arms. I mean, it's not replacing the original. The original will still be there, but you could make the Ark In Space look the way it looked in my imagination, because that is one of the stories I saw as a child. And my imagination was able to fill in the blanks on how terrifying that story was. And it still holds up. The bubble wrap is fine. I don't have a problem with it. But this is a great opportunity just to kind of take it to the next level. Make it an 11 out of 10. And I'd like to see that. And then those are the main 2 I'd want if I could only get 2. But for a 3rd choice, I did pick Robot, because I do think there's some tweaking with Robot you could do to make it look better. Give it a real tank, for example. Once the robot turns into King Kong, you can make that look a lot better. I mean, again, whether the budget would stretch to that, I don't know. But those are the 3 stories I think of from the existing box sets I'd love to get updated effects. Moving on to Colin Baker. Really, with Colin only having 11 stories, there wasn't a lot for me to pick from. The main one that jumped out to me was The Ultimate Foe. Especially only being a 2-parter, it wouldn't cost as much to do. And some of the effects for it, to me, have aged poorly, especially at the end when the doctor sets whatever that is off and electricity look like it's going everywhere. Could use some updating. That's really the main Colin story that needs updated effects for me, is The Ultimate Foe. If I could pick just one, it would be that one. A great way to end his era. For Sylvester McCoy, I think Time and the Ronnie. Now, some of the effects for Time and the Ronnie look good, like the little bubble that flings them into walls. That actually holds up pretty well, but a lot of the effects look bad, like the TARDIS being shot by laser beams, which was really impressive for the time. I will admit that. For the time, very impressive. Has dated badly. I'd love to see an updated version of that, kind of like what it looks like on the back of the Season 24 box set. I'd love to see an updated version of the title screen. That would be really cool, because people have actually done those on YouTube. That would be pretty cool. You could use the Easter egg of the regeneration, or the one that's available to watch already on the box set. I guess you wouldn't have to redo that. You could just port that over. I do prefer the updated regeneration effect that's on the box set already, which was originally an Easter egg on the DVD. And then you could improve some of the other things, like the little bees and the thing look terrible and could use some updating. The scene when the doctor sees Mel's face and the Ronnie looks a little weird. There's a few other things you could tweak there. Also, Battlefield. Now, I know Battlefield's had updated effects before, but you could give it some more modern updated effects. More importantly, it needs a rescoring. The incidental music in Battlefield is atrocious, and it really pulls the story down. Still a great story, but the incidental music pulls it down. Much like with the Daleks in Color, Battlefield needs to be rescored desperately. Like, I would love to see Mark get another attempt at it, or, goodness, get Murray Gold on that. I would love to see what they could do with a fresh score on that. And go ahead and update the effects while you're there. Now, for Peter Davidson, I went with The King's Demons first off. Because, one, that would mean every story in Season 20 would have updated effects options. I like that. And then I've seen, I think it's Cunning Monkey's updated effects he's done for it on YouTube, and they look so much better than the original. As someone who loves King's Demons, the King's Demons is a very underrated story, my favorite Davidson 2-parter. And the original effects aren't the best for when Chameleon's morphing, and I really think that's the main thing you need to update is Chameleon morphing, and maybe the Master's face when it's actually revealed to be the Master. There's not a lot of effect stuff it needs, but just enough to really make the story pop a little more, and the Chameleon morphs would help with that a lot. I also picked Planet of Fire. I am cheating a little bit because this is the one time I am mentioning a story from a box set that hasn't been released yet, which I said I wasn't going to do, but I am going to say it for Planet of Fire because the updated effects Planet of Fire got in its kind of movie-length cut aren't that great to me. It's one of the rare occasions where I prefer the original version over the updated effects. I mean, it's fine. I can watch it, but I much prefer the original version of Planet of Fire. And I'd like to rectify that. Plus, I just want updated effects for it in its standard length. I don't like the fact that they turned it into a movie-length production. So I would love to get updated effects for it in a standard length. And while I like the idea of the planet being hotter, it doesn't necessarily have to have fire everywhere. So they could tone it down a little on that while still making it look hotter. I think Planet of Fire would I think it's rife for updated effects. It just needs to go in a better direction than what we got in the DVD release. And the other one is Time Flight. I don't know if Time Flight's enough of a draw for people. And to be honest, I'm fine with Time Flight's original effects, but I could see a lot of people being, happier if Time Flight got updated effects. They'd be like, yeah, Time Flight. We're cool with that. So I'd be all right with any of those 3 getting updated effects. Because, again, there is some stuff you could do with Time Flight there. And then for John, it was hard to pick just 3. I think the Daemons has stuff you could do. The Daemons is good on its own. It doesn't need updated effects. But I think there's opportunity for updated effects in the Daemons you could do to make it pop a little more. The 3 Doctors. I have seen and again, it might have been Cunning Monkey Online, has done some really good updated effects for Three Doctors. I saw an updated effects video for Three Doctors that was so good that I was sitting here going, I need to just edit this in to my Three Doctors Blu-ray and it'll be perfect. If they contacted him and said, hey, we want to use your stuff for a Three Doctors, special edition, yeah, because I love the Three Doctors, but those updated effects really make the Three Doctors pop a lot more, and I really enjoyed that. So Three Doctors for sure. And then the Time Monster. There's definitely some stuff with the Time Monster you could do. You could make Kronos not look like it does. Yeah. Definitely some room for Time Monster to get updated effects. Couple honorable mentions. The Mind of Evil has some stuff that can be done with it. And of course the Mutants also has some stuff that can be done with it to update those effects as well. So I want to know what you think, and in this situation, the stories you would pick that you think would be perfect for updated effects that didn't get them on the initial release if we had an opportunity to revisit some of those stories. So comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There is a link to that down there in the description. Want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Finn Perkins, and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It's very much appreciated. I also have a P.O. Box. If there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review, a link to my Amazon wish list is also down there, and a link to my Amazon UK wish list is down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.